What if the belief protecting you from disappointment is the same belief keeping you stuck? You tell yourself your boss will never recognize you, so you stop asking for more. You decide people always leave, so you never let them get close enough to surprise you. You become certain that you are bad with money, terrible at relationships, too old to change, or simply not the kind of person who succeeds. The certainty hurts, but it also protects you from finding out. Mara believed Julian had taken her promotion. For months, she had treated that belief as a painful fact. Then she found an email that seemed to prove it. By the end of the week, she would learn that being right had never been the thing she needed most. She needed the courage to become less wrong. Hi, I'm Sarah, and this is Wise Mind Stories. In this episode, you'll learn why certainty can be more dangerous than doubt, how identity makes us avoid information we need, and how one question can loosen a story that has quietly become a cage. The email was 6 months old. Mara found it while searching archived files from the Consumer Trust Project. The subject line read, VP Role, Leadership, Assessment. Julian had sent it to Helen 3 days before the promotion announcement. Mara should not have had access. A folder permission had been changed during the recall investigation, exposing an old executive thread. The preview showed one sentence. Mara's current leadership gaps create a significant risk for this role. She stopped reading. The office around her blurred into evidence. Julian's questions during meetings, his private conversations with Helen, the surprise on his face when the promotion was announced. All of it rearranged itself around the conclusion. He had wanted the job. He had undermined her. He had smiled while doing it. Mara took a screenshot. At 10:14, Julian messaged her, "Can we review the new seller controls at 2?" Mara replied, "No need. I'll handle them." The certainty felt terrible. It also felt clean. For months, Mara had lived with a messy set of possibilities. Maybe she had not been ready. Maybe Helen valued Julian's operational experience. Maybe timing, politics, leadership, and personality had all mattered at once. Now there was one cause and one villain. Certainty reduced pain by simplifying it. That is one reason we protect beliefs even when they make us miserable. The book's argument is not merely that humans are often wrong. That would be obvious and not very useful. The deeper idea is that growth is a process of becoming wrong in new ways. The child's map of the world is replaced by the teenager's map. The teenager's map is revised by adulthood. Every wiser version of you looks back and recognizes limits the earlier version could not see. If future you never finds anything wrong with present you, then present you may have stopped moving. Growth is not the reward for being right. It is the reward for surviving the discovery that you were wrong. At lunch, Helen announced a new role created after the recall: Director of Marketplace Integrity. The position would unite brand, trust, risk communication, and seller accountability. It was exactly the work Mara had spent months learning to do. Applications closed Friday at midnight. Theo leaned into Mara's office. "That job is basically your last 3 months with a title. They already know who they want." Did Helen say that? She didn't have to. Theo looked at her. "You taught me not to hide unfinished work." "This isn't the same." "Of course not," he smiled. "This time, it's your unfinished work." After he left, Mara opened the application. The first question asked why she was suited to lead Marketplace Integrity. She imagined Julian reading the answer. She imagined him forwarding it to Helen with another warning. She closed the page. Manson's law of avoidance says that the more something threatens your identity, the more you will avoid it. We avoid obvious threats: rejection, failure, humiliation. But we also avoid positive possibilities when they threaten the story we use to understand ourselves. Success can threaten the identity of someone who has always been overlooked. Love can threaten the identity of someone who believes they are unlovable. Financial stability can threaten a person whose relationships are organized around recurring crisis. Mara's identity was not simply capable leader. It was capable leader no one fully recognizes. That story gave every setback meaning. It protected her from the more frightening possibility that recognition might require her to risk a direct no. If Mara applied and lost, she would receive new information. If she refused to apply, she could remain certain the system was unfair. Some beliefs survive because they are true. Others survive because we never let reality test them. At 2, Julian arrived for the seller controls review despite Mara's message. "You removed me from the meeting," he said. "I simplified ownership. We agreed risk and brand would present together." Mara turned her monitor toward him. The screenshot filled the screen. Julian read it. His face did not show guilt. It showed recognition. "You opened the assessment thread. I opened a folder I had access to. That access was a mistake. So was trusting you." Julian pulled out a chair. "Did you read the email?" "I read enough." "You read one sentence." It was a clear sentence. Julian nodded slowly. "Yes, it was." Mara waited for an apology. He opened the archived thread and scrolled below the preview. The paragraph continued. "Mara's current leadership gaps create a significant risk for this role. She is also the strongest strategist under consideration, the person most trusted by the creative team when she is not defending herself, and the only candidate who has articulated a credible long-term trust vision. I recommend a 6-month development plan and reassessment. If the decision is immediate, I will accept the role only if Mara retains strategic authority and receives direct sponsorship from Helen." Mara read it twice. The sentence had not been false. Her conclusion had been incomplete. Julian had named the weakness. He had also defended her authority and asked Brightcart to reconsider her later. "Why didn't you tell me?" Mara asked. "Because it was a confidential assessment. You could have told me you supported me." "I tried, at the elevator. You said you had to call your dad." Mara remembered. She had not called Tom. Julian closed the laptop. "You were certain I was the person standing between you and that job," he said. "Do you know how impossible it is to work with someone who needs you to be their evidence?" He left the room. That was the emotional reversal. Mara thought Julian's betrayal had confirmed her identity as the overlooked one. The fuller truth was that Julian had seen both her talent and her limitation more clearly than she had. Her certainty did not protect her from betrayal. It protected her from feedback. The chapter, "You're Wrong About Everything, But So Am I," challenges the fantasy that certainty equals strength. Certainty can prevent action because action produces evidence. The lonely person who is certain no one will want them does not have to risk a date. The employee who is certain the boss will say no does not have to ask for the promotion. The artist who is certain the market is shallow does not have to finish the work and let people respond. Painful certainty offers moderate comfort now by mortgaging a larger possibility later. Uncertainty sounds weaker because it says, "I may not understand this," but that sentence reopens the future. Certainty closes the case. Curiosity keeps your life admissible as new evidence. That evening, Mara sat in the hospital cafeteria while Tom slept upstairs after treatment. She told Ben about the email. He listened without rescuing her. "Are you applying?" he asked. "I don't know." "That sounds healthier than no." Mara gave him a tired smile. "What if I'm still not ready?" "Then maybe the application tells you how." What if Julian doesn't want to work with me? Ask him. What if Helen already made up her mind? Ben sipped his coffee. You've built a whole courtroom with no witnesses. On Thursday, Mara opened the application again. She wrote 3 paragraphs, hated them, and closed the page. At home, Lucy was constructing a solar system model on the dining table. Saturn's ring kept sliding off. It's wrong, Lucy said. The ring? All of it. Mara sat beside her. What would make it less wrong? Lucy examined the model. More glue. They laughed. The answer was not perfection. It was the next correction. Mara returned to the application after Lucy went to bed. She replaced the opening claim, I am uniquely qualified, with something more accurate. The Northline recall exposed what I did not yet understand about trust. Evidence must remain current, and communication must protect customers before it protects the system. I made a costly decision during that failure. I also led the redesign that followed. The application became stronger when Mara stopped trying to prove she had always been the right person. She could show how she had become less wrong. On Friday afternoon, she asked Julian to meet. I owe you an apology, she said. Yes. I read the sentence that supported the story I already had. Then I punished you for the rest of it. Julian remained quiet. I'm applying for the integrity role, Mara continued. If I get it, we would still need to work together. Do you think that can work? He looked through the window toward the project floor. I think it depends on whether every disagreement becomes another email trial. Fair. And whether I'm allowed to be wrong without becoming your enemy. Mara nodded. Same rule for me. Julian extended his hand. It was not forgiveness. It was an agreement to gather new evidence. Mara submitted the application at 11:43 p.m. 17 minutes before the deadline. She still did not know whether she would get the job. Uncertainty had not made her confident. It had made action possible. That is the practical power of being willing to be wrong. You do not need to replace a negative certainty with a positive certainty. You do not have to say, I will definitely succeed. You can say, my current story may be incomplete. That small opening is enough for a different choice to enter. Sarah closing. The answer to today's question is that painful stories often keep us safe by preventing reality from testing our identity. Certainty can feel like knowledge, while functioning like avoidance. The goal is not to become unsure of everything. It is to hold your conclusions lightly enough that new evidence can change you. Here is today's experiment. Choose one story that keeps repeating. They never respect me. I always ruin relationships. I'm not the kind of person who can do this. Then ask one question. What would have to be true for this story to be incomplete? Do not force a positive answer. Look for missing evidence. If this episode helped reopen a possibility you had closed, subscribe to WiseMindStories. Mara has submitted the application, but her larger seller trust proposal is rejected in the first review, and she interprets the failure as proof that she moved too soon. Weeks pass while she waits to feel ready to try again. Then a competitor launches a version of the idea she left untouched, and Mara must learn whether motivation comes before action or because of it. Wise Mind Stories. Quotable lines. Growth is the reward for surviving the discovery that you were wrong. Some beliefs survive because we never let reality test them. Certainty closes the case. Curiosity reopens the future. Uncertainty did not make her confident. It made action possible. Next episode, teaser. Mara finally allows reality to test her story and submits the application. But when her proposal is rejected, uncertainty becomes another excuse. Perhaps she simply needs more time, more confidence, and a better plan. While she waits, someone else acts, and the idea she was protecting from failure begins succeeding without her.